Hello there and welcome to the webinar series put on by the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. Today's topic is geared toward grades 1 through 3, and this is all about helping a friend. And so we're going to be looking at a bigger term called bystander intervention and why it's really important that we should be helping when we see things that aren't so good happening. And so just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Alicia Fisher. I work at the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center as the prevention education supervisor. So I do a lot of the presentations and outreach similar to this. Okay, let's get started with the presentation. Here we go. Okay, helping a friend. So what are we going to be talking about today? So today we're going to be talking about who I am just a little briefly, and then we're going to be talking about bullying and why it's really important for us to get involved when we see acts of bullying happen. What can we do and how do we help? How do we get involved? So this comes around a term called bystander intervention. Now, you don't need to know that term, but what it comes down to is getting involved in situations that need our help, kind of like the one that you see in the picture there, right? And then we're going to look into various supports within our area. So who we are at our center, we are a center that supports a lot of different folks who have had some not so good things happen to them, right? And so we support folks who have been touched without their consent, who have had things said to them without their consent, or who have been made to do things without their consent. So as I said, I support all different individuals, whether we're out at the Peterborough Pete's games and talking to the players there. We support people through video, through the phone. So whether you text message us or talk to us, we support people. And then in our office, we also have an emotional support puppy whose name is Ludo. We also have a partner agency. So this is a group of folks. They are located in the same area as us in Peterborough, right on the 3rd floor. The area that they serve goes out towards Durham region and the Kawartha Lakes, Peterborough, and they support families who have been impacted by a lot of difficult things, a lot of harm. So this is more of an Indigenous resource that we're well connected with. So this could be a time where you ask your class or where you think about to yourself, what is bullying? Who does it happen to? And where does bullying happen? So when we think about bullying can take a variety of different forms, right? Like as we see kind of below in the pictures here in this first one we've got, it looks like people who are laughing or making jokes of, making fun of this particular individual. Bullying can happen to anyone, right? So as we see here, it doesn't really matter who you are. If people are going to be mean, they can be mean to really anyone, right? And so here we've got, it looks like not only are jokes being made, but it looks like there's a phone here. So people are doing things on their phone. Looks like they're saying kind of mean things, maybe taking pictures of people without their consent. It looks like the phone is actually lighting up on this individual. So maybe they're sending them really mean things. So that can be a form of bullying. And then bullying, when people think of bullying, they tend to think of the more physical side of it, right? Like hitting, pulling people's hair, taking people's books or taking their pencils and pens without asking first. And so, a big difference with bullying is that it's something that's ongoing, but bullying definitely is not something that's nice. It's not something that makes us feel good. But these are just a variety of ways that we can see what bullying is, and that it can really happen to anyone, not only at school, but at home as well. And so now we're just going to watch a quick video that talks about, what is bullying. And if you're an educator watching the playback, maybe you can talk about this with your class in more detail. So here we go into this video.
Bullying can happen to anyone, and it can happen anywhere. You can be bullied about how you look, what you are good at or not good at, where you come from, or who your friends are. Bullying can be physical, someone hurting or shoving you, or stealing your belongings. Verbal, teasing and name-calling, or someone saying mean things about you. Or social, being left out of a group, or someone sending you nasty messages or images.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of different things in that video.
Bullying can happen.
But some things that were just highlighted in that video is that bullying can happen to anyone, right? And so it's just really important to understand that bullying doesn't happen to one type of person, and that no one deserves to be bullied, right? No one deserves to be made fun of, or to have people say mean things about them. No one deserves that. And bullying can happen anywhere. So whether you're at home, at your friend's place, at school, or even out in your community and your town, it can really happen anywhere, or even in the online world as well, right? Bullying can be physical, so that's the one that we tend to think about most. Verbal, so saying mean things, um, or talking about people behind their back, spreading lies or gossip about people. It can be social, so like leaving people out of things, like continuously or like purposefully saying, I want everyone to be in my group except for you. So that could be a form of social bullying. And then one thing they didn't talk about in the video is also cyberbullying, right? So on if we're on a phone, or if we're on our tablet or on a computer, and people are saying mean things, that can be a form of cyberbullying, right? So cyberbullying can be, as I said, on a phone, on a computer, on a tablet. It's in a more virtual world. So that can also be a form of bullying, right? And so, these are some questions that I want you to think about to yourself. But how does someone feel when they are bullied, right? When we see someone being made fun of, how do we think that they are feeling? How do we think that makes them feel? Do you think that makes them feel happy and strong and amazing? Or do we think that that makes them feel maybe a little sad, embarrassed, full of shame? Maybe they're hiding their face or slouching, right? So bullying isn't making people feel good about themselves. It's making people feel bad about themselves, right? It's not about a joke or two. This is really having negative consequences. Not only does the person feel sad on the inside, but it also makes their body feel sad, right? So when you feel sad, it's not just that you feel sad on the inside, but maybe on the outside, you're tired. Maybe you're not as excited to go to gym class or math class. So bullying not only affects our brain and the inside of our body, but also the outside of our bodies as well. And so you can have more of a robust discussion with your class about this too. But I'm just going to ask a second question. How do you feel when you see someone being bullied? So when you see it happening, how might you feel? As an educator, you can feel free to pause this and have this discussion with your class. But there's a lot of different emotions, right? There's a lot of different things that we may feel. We may feel a little sad if we see someone being bullied, right? We may feel a little shocked and angry. We may feel, on the third one there, maybe confused. Why are you saying this? Why are you doing this, right? We may feel confused. Again, we may feel angry on the fourth one there, right? We may feel like, what? Why are you doing this? Like, this is so mean. And sometimes we may even feel a little bit sad or upset. Maybe we're not sure what to do. Maybe we feel a little bit frozen, right? Sometimes we see something happening and we go, oh, right? We may freeze. And so there's a variety of emotions that we may feel when we see this happening. And so it's really important to not only identify those emotions, but talk to someone about how you're feeling. And so, this isn't necessarily telling on someone, but it's also just having an opportunity or a time to talk to someone about how you're feeling, about what you're seeing, right? Because if someone being bullied isn't making you feel good, and you seeing the bullying is not making you feel good, you aren't the only person that's seeing this, right? And so there's a lot of people involved that may not be feeling good about this. Bullying is not just within the 2 people or 3 people or 4 people involved. It's almost like the whole school is involved, right? Because if you see something happening, you're not the only one to see it happening, and you may talk to someone else about what you saw happen, and that other person may also feel sad, right? So it's really important that we acknowledge our feelings, but also talk to other people. And we'll talk about those resources in a bit. Now, here's another part of the video, kind of talking about those feelings of how we feel and how those feelings and emotions may impact us.
Might feel scared, worried, or sad. These sorts of feelings can stop you from enjoying things, doing your schoolwork, wanting to go to school, and even sleeping. Even people who see bullying happen to other people can feel worried or sad. You feel like you can't stop it, and that can feel awful. But there are some things you can do.
Okay.
Might feel scared, worried, or sad.
There we go. So, we have seen this happening. We've seen some people doing some not so nice things, but how can we help? How can we get involved to make a difference? And I've got 2 different strategies, 2 different ways that we could do that. So the first one is about getting involved. It's one thing we call direct. This is where we are directly doing something. This is where we are getting involved in the situation. So as you see in this first image here, you've got some really mean things being said to this individual. This individual looks quite sad. But as you see here, there's this person sitting behind them that looks a little scared, looks a little sad. And so this is an opportunity for this person, or maybe some of the other people, to get involved in this situation, to say, hey, this isn't okay, right? And as we see in this cartoon, in this image over here, we've got someone who looks as if they've been physically bullied. So it looks like they've been pushed, their books are on the ground. But sometimes when we see bullying, the person may not look like this on the outside, but they may feel like this on the inside, right? And so it's really important that not only do we get involved as an individual, but as a group, right? If you have a lot of different people saying, hey, this isn't okay, it's going to make the outcome very different, right? There's going to be, if you have a lot of people saying, hey, this is not okay, the action's probably going to stop, right? The person who's bullying is going to be like, hey, like, why am I the only one doing this? And then the bullying may stop. And so this is where we are directly getting involved and saying, no bullies. Hey, stop that right now. Or, hey, how do you think that might make you feel? Right? So maybe we can ask questions about, how do you think this person feels when you say that or when you do that? Do you think that you would want to feel that way? That doesn't sound like the way that I would want to be treated, and I wouldn't treat you that way. So why are you treating someone that way? And so it's really important that we get involved. And if there's a certain situation, so just say that there's a grade 7 and a grade 8, maybe doing some bullying or saying some mean things, that may be a situation where we don't feel so good getting involved, right? We may feel a little unsafe. We may feel as if that's a little bit too risky. And so there's another thing that you can do, and that is called delegate. Delegate is all about asking other people or getting other people involved. And so this may be looking at your friends and saying, hey, do you think this is okay? We should probably do something, right? So delegate is about getting other people involved. So that can be your friends, looking to your friends and saying, hey, let's do something about this. Let's stop this. Because I know I wouldn't feel nice about this happening, and I don't think you would feel nice either. So, hey, we should all get involved as a group to stop it. You could also delegate or get a teacher involved. And so there may be more different kinds of trusted adults in your classroom. So there could be a support worker or another staff member. And even in the school, there could be other teachers. So not your exact teacher, but other teachers that you can ask for help. There could be the person in the main office that you could ask for help. Maybe at your school you have a guidance counselor or even a vice principal or principal that you can ask for help, right? And maybe talk to them about what you've seen. You could also talk to your parents, right? So a trusted adult. Maybe that trusted adult is a family member, a parent, a caregiver. It's talking to someone about like what you've seen, someone like an adult. And so it's really important that we, if we're not getting directly involved in a situation, that we ask other people about getting involved, right? Especially in those situations where we may not feel as safe getting involved. And so parents, teachers, caregivers, your friends, maybe looking at other people in that older grade and saying, hey, are you going to do something? Are you going to say something? This doesn't look okay. So maybe you're looking to an older sibling, or maybe you're just looking at someone in an older grade to say, hey, you should get involved and stop this. This isn't okay. So we can directly get involved, or we can get other people involved. So what are some examples? Now, these are just general examples, but you can certainly expand on this. Maybe you can talk to your class, you can talk to your teacher about things that you've seen that you weren't really sure what to do. So these are just some examples that we can talk about briefly, but take the time to talk about this with your class and see what they think. And maybe there's some scenarios or some examples that your students have seen, right? So, okay, let's read this example over. You are sitting at your table. You see a classmate asking their friend for a hug. The friend says, no thanks, and shakes their head. Your classmate hugs them anyway. The other friend looks uncomfortable. Right? So in this situation, you're seeing someone ask someone for a hug. That person says, no thanks, and shakes their head no. So if someone says no thanks and shakes their head like this, side to side, do you think that they want a hug? Probably not. But in this situation, the person hugs them anyway. So the person didn't listen with their ears and didn't watch with their eyes to see that this person didn't want a hug. And so now someone has given this person a hug and they don't look happy. They look uncomfortable. What does uncomfortable look like? That could be a question that you could ask your class. And so now, how would you get involved? What could you say? Well, you could talk to the person who did the hugging. So it looks like the girl here who did the hugging and say, do you think that was nice? Right? So that is you directly getting involved and saying, hey, I don't think they wanted a hug. Maybe you should say sorry. You could also check in with the friend who was hugged without their consent. It looks like this boy here, and ask them, hey, are you okay? That didn't look like something you wanted. So you could directly get involved. Or maybe you could talk to a teacher. Now, this may be kind of a single situation. And so maybe getting a teacher involved might not be the thing to do. I think maybe talking to a teacher about what you saw is important. But if a situation like this happens again and again and again, I would definitely ask a teacher about this and maybe talk about the word consent, right? And it may not be hugging, it could be, giving someone a push and keep kind of pushing them. They may say it's a joke, but do you think pushing is okay? Do you think people want to be pushed around all the time? Probably not. So that's kind of an example of a situation. You could talk about that with your class and maybe different types of touch. So whether it's pushing, hugging, what other types of touch happen? What do your students see? Let's go to a situation. You are with your best friend and they do not seem like themselves. They aren't happy about the things that usually make them happy, and they look really sad. Do you think this is a situation that you should get involved in? If your best friend's happy, something, must be making them upset. So what are some questions or what are some things that you can say to this person, right? Someone may not be, there's a lot of different reasons why someone may not be happy. People sometimes they just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and they just didn't have a good sleep. And that happens sometimes. But I think it's always good to check in and saying, hey, how are you doing today? You don't look too happy. Is everything okay? So that would be a form of direct intervention. This is where you are asking this person, where you are directly getting involved and checking in. Now, if you don't feel comfortable asking these questions to your best friend, who can you talk to? So if you are at school, maybe you can talk to a teacher and say, hey, I've noticed my best friend isn't too happy. What can I do? Or maybe can you talk to them? Maybe if you're at your friend's house, you can talk to their siblings or you can talk to their family members. You could also talk to your parents if you're at your house and say, hey, I saw that this person wasn't too happy. Do you think maybe you could ask if they're okay, right? And so whether you're directly getting involved, but maybe you're not sure, you could always delegate to other people to check in, right? We want people to be happy, and there's a lot of different things that may not be making people happy. And it could be something as not so serious as, just having a bad day, or there could be something more of a health issue, like they have a stomach ache, or maybe it's something a little bit more serious that some people were really being mean to your best friend, right? And so it's important to check in and maybe get other people involved if they're not really sure. So that's another one. Here we go with another one. You see a younger student you don't really know is sitting alone on a bench watching all the other students play. Okay, so we've got someone sitting all by themselves in this picture. They don't look too happy. What is something you can do? So we've got the two different ways that you can get involved. Either one, you can directly get involved and maybe go up and ask some questions. Hey, how are you today? How are things going? Did you want to play? So we don't know why this person is sitting all alone. Maybe they're sitting all alone because they're watching the clouds or soaking in the sunshine, especially with winter coming. Maybe they're really soaking in the sunshine. But maybe this person was bullied and maybe they're feeling really sad and they want a friend, but they feel like they don't have any. So maybe you can check in and say, hey, how are you doing? Right? Because you don't know why that person feels sad. But, it says here that we don't really know this person. We don't really know them. So maybe you know their friends and you can say, hey, do you want to check in on your friend? Maybe ask a teacher and say, hey, I notice this person is sitting all alone. Can you check in on them? Can you ask if they're okay? Right? So it's really important that we do something when we see something that's not quite right. And there's a lot of different other scenarios and different things that could happen. I think it's really important to talk to a teacher about what you've seen, going on in school or in the real world, at home or at your friend's house, just to talk about what's happening and if you've seen something that doesn't make you feel good. So to wrap up, to finish up, here are some main points. Bullying hurts not only the person being bullied, but the people who see it too, right? We talked about how it's not just the two people involved, but also everyone who sees it, and how bullying impacts not only the inside, our minds, but also the outsides of our body too. When we see someone being bullied or needs help, we need to help. It's really important, even just asking a simple question of, hey, are you okay? Can really change someone's day and can really help someone. And that person may be totally fine, right? But it's super important that we ask just to be sure. We can get help ourselves or ask other people to help if we're not sure how, right? So we talked about the two different ways of getting involved, whether we are doing it ourselves or talking to other people. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. For the educators and staff, if you could fill out the survey that was attached, that would be fabulous. And we also have a variety of supports that at our center, where we do offer accompaniment and support, where we can come and talk to your class. There's 3 different avenues of 24/7 crisis support, whether that's through texting, or text, phone, or online. So you can head onto our website and there is someone on there 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, checking that and making sure that everyone's helped. And with Nich Quinidad Ale Schnalbe Koiwag Service Circle, there are the youth groups options too, which is for a little bit of an older population, but there is a healthy families, healthy babies program as well. So I want to thank you all for joining today, and do enjoy the rest of your day.